Shabbat Shalom to everybody today. It is good to be back in the house with all of you on this Shabbat. I will wholeheartedly give thanks to Yahweh in the council of the upright and in the assembly. The deeds of Yahweh are great. To the Elohim of Abraham, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, whose great name is Yahweh, we give you thanks and we give you praise for this wonderful day that you have given to Hebrew Israel to congregate and come together to worship you and to talk about the greatness and the wonders that you have performed. We thank you for opening our ears that we're able to hear, our eyes that we're able to see and understand, and teshuvah, repent, turn back to you, and walk in your mitzvot, and understand the application therein. We thank you for our health, our strength that you have given and provided to us, for keeping us safe from hurt, harm, and danger. Thank you for all the greatness that you perform every day and all the time, because your eyes are always up on Israel. Let today be filled with your Ruach. Let the worship, let the teaching resonate on our hearts and our soul. We pray for Hebrew Israel wherever she is, that today will be a great day. Amen.
I lift my hands, I lift my voice, and worship unto you, Yahweh. I give my heart, I give my soul in praise unto you, Yahweh. It is my desire of honor. May my worship be pleasing unto you, Yahweh. It is you that I love, it is you that I want. That I need, Yahweh. I love. It is you that I want. It's you, oh, that I need, Yahweh. I lift my voice, hands, I lift my voice in worship unto you, Yahweh. Here we go. Your loving kindness is what I need. Your grace and mercy is what I need. Hey, to reign and dwell with you is what I need. To feel your presence is what I need. Hey, I offer you my worship. I offer you, oh, my praise. I offer you, oh, my faithfulness. I offer you my life you gave. From the top. Your loving kindness, come on y'all, is what I need. Grace and mercy is what I need. Hey, to reign and dwell with you is what I need. To feel your presence, hey, is what I need. Here we go. I offer you my worship. I offer you, oh, my praise. I offer you, hey, my faithfulness. I offer you my life you gave. Come on. Touch my eyes so I can see. Touch my ears so I can hear. Hey, touch my soul that I can heal. Touch my heart, come on, so I can feel. Hey, I offer my worship. I offer you, oh, my praise. I offer you my faithfulness. I offer you my life you gave. I say hallelujah. Yahweh. I will follow. Lead me, Yahweh. I will go. 'Cause when you call me, I will answer. Lead me, Yahweh. I will go. Lead me, Yahweh. I will follow. Lead me, Yahweh. I will go. When you call me, well, I will answer. Lead me, Yahweh. I will go. Lead me, Yahweh. I will follow. Lead me, Yahweh. I will go. 'Cause when you call me, I will answer. Lead me, Yahweh. Lead me, Yahweh. Lead me, Yahweh. I will go. 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 Lead me, Yahweh. Yes, 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 yes. I say Shabbat Shalom to all of you beautiful people and those who are with us here by stream. I say may the peace of Yahweh be with you. May he bring you joy, peace, and happiness. He is truly, truly amazing, and I just think that he is awesome. As I think back on the week and all that he has done for us and for me and for you, I don't take advantage of knowing who he is and whose he is. With everything that's going on in the world, politics and all the stuff that is happening, I read a story, excuse me, and it made me so sad that this young black kid, was coaxed into hanging out with a couple of his classmates who were white. 14-year-old boy. And they took him to a river. And he told him he couldn't swim. They tried to drown him. They threw rocks and stones at him. They tried to kill this kid. Classmates. And I think about just how horrible the world can be. And I think about my grandsons, and that's why I always pray the prayer of protection. See, when you're in the Hebrew family, when you know who Yah is, We call upon the name of Yahweh to protect our family, to protect ourselves. Because you never know. And as I read that story, I just began to pray. And I don't know the young man and his family, but he survived. And I said, you know, the world can be so cruel. It can be so evil. I don't want to be left out here by myself to my own demise, calling on a God that has no power, calling on something that has no power, that cannot help me. But I know when I wake up in the morning and I pray that prayer of protection, I know Yah has his hands on me. So don't ever forget who your Father is. Don't forget where your help comes from. And may he always lead and guide you into everything that is true. For Yahweh is Yahweh. He is my deliverer. And I love him. I love him. I think he is awesome. And I love him today. Shalom, shalom, shalom.
Well, it's a great day that we are here today. I want to say to all of our viewing people that are viewing us by stream, on next Shabbat, the 16th, is the Feast of Trumpets. However, we won't be streaming until late in the day. One of the elder members of our congregation has passed away, and the funeral is going to be on that particular day. We're all going to be there. However, we are going to be celebrating the Feast of Trumpets, and Ambassador Appleton doesn't know this yet, so he's just now hearing this. It's his month to teach. So we're going to be here at congregation at 3:30 next Shabbat after the funeral, and and we're going to be celebrating our Feast of Trumpets, and we will be online for that occasion. So you can tune in, mark your calendars. 3:30 on the 16th, Feast of Trumpets will be here. We'll just be streaming later in the day. These are some devastating times for Hebrew Israel. We are at the top of the chain list. There's no conversation you can hear. There's no discussion you can hear. There's no political agenda you can hear. There's nothing you can hear, but everything that you hear is about Hebrew Israel. And in one sense, the news is not good. In another sense, for Hebrew Israel, for us that understand and know, the news is very good. Our people haven't learned yet that, you go to church every week, and I know you've read the book of Judges, and some of the things that have befallen Hebrew Israel in its exile are just as devastating as the Philistines and all the other ites brought against Hebrew Israel. But when she had enough, she cried out to the Most High, and the Most High sent her a deliverer. And the interesting part about where we are in our climate today is that Hebrew Israel doesn't know she's Hebrew Israel, so she doesn't know to cry out and who to cry out to. So things like what Brother Kevin just talked about and other devastating things continue to happen to our people. I'm going to ask you to do something with me. I'm very concerned. I'm in the book of Daniel in thought, and I'm concerned about the things that are happening to people of color in the world, because it appears that we have not moved one dot from where we were in the days that they call slavery. We're still enslaved. And the interesting aspect is that the process of destroying people of color has just changed in how it's being done. And I am fasting and praying that the Most High will provide us with some strategic way to get the ear of our people so that they can begin, as our ancestors did, to cry out to the Most High El that He will send us a deliverer. It's every day in the news. It's every day in the news. There's not a day that goes by that Hebrew Israel is not under attack by the nations, and they don't know what to do. We have an answer. We have an answer. So those of you that will fast and pray with me over that matter, that the Most High will open up an avenue that we can communicate with our people to help them to find the answer. Well, Ambassador Appleton's teaching today and for the rest of this month, so I yield to him.
Hi. My. You have me for a month, a whole entire month. To the beneficent, the omnipresent, the omniscient, the merciful, Hasofet, the judge, the almighty. The one that from one thing, everything was created. I come in that name of Eye Ashe Eye to you today. Yahweh, Yahweh, you may know him as. And in the church, they would say the author and finisher of our faith. I thank him for the ability to allow me to be in front of you, as they would say in the street, one more again. One more again. To Ambassador Robert B. Holman Jr. and Ambassador Kevin R. Holman Jr., Shabbat Shalom. Thank you for allowing me to share this platform with you today as we talk about Pan-Hebrewism. What is that? What is Pan-Hebrewism? It's the ability to understand that we are just not in a microcosm here in the United States. That when we talk about Hebrews, we talk about Hebrews pinned out at all four corners of the world. So, thank you for allowing me to share this platform with you. I want to do a shameless plug real quick. There is a tool that is going to be released shortly, written by none other than our head ambassador here, Robert B. Holman Jr. It's titled Torah for Hebrews in Exile. This book accomplishes a goal. It gives us a set of parameters that are applicable and contextual for this day and age, as we are in exile. Are we not? Y'all said that like, y'all, are we in exile? Okay, we are in exile. We understand that this soil is not home. We understand that. This book is getting ready to be released. I'm doing a shameless plug because he probably won't do it because he's too modest. So look out for that in the next couple of weeks. It's going to be released. Give him a round of applause. There's a lot of good work that went into that. So be it, and let it be so. To our viewing audience, I can't even go any further because I want to get into one of my sidebars real quick. This is a part of my monologue. I usually don't monologue while I'm up here, but I'm going to today. Can I monologue for a little bit? Can I have your permission to monologue? Okay, all right, I'm going to monologue for a little bit. For those of you that are watching by way of stream, I want to say Shabbat Shalom to you. And there is a special Shabbat Shalom that I want to send out to all of you that are viewing by way of the stream. We are not a full house in here today. One could agree. Could we agree? We're not a full house in here today, all right? And sometimes we get discouraged about the fact that we're not reaching enough people. The Most High has bestowed upon me this form of enlightenment about that. Says, Sean, you're looking at that all the wrong way. Because what I'm revealing to you right now is that I'm opening up doors to where our head ambassador is going to talk to bishops in this city about this. That when you look to see billboards outside and they say truth matters from other congregations that seem to be talking about the same subject matter that we're talking about in succinct succession, lock, step, and order. when you start to see a dear friend of mine that is going to be installed on Sunday as the new head pastor of a church here in the Sacramento area. And I'm saying to myself, we know all of these individuals. See, what we're looking for is people to fill this house. What's happening is the Most High is positioning us to be the voice for all of the leaders that are in town. They're coming here to get their information. They're taking their information and telling it to their congregants. So the mission and what we're doing here is beyond these four walls. Just don't think that the stuff that we're talking about here goes on deaf ears. We got those individuals that silently subscribe. They hit the like and a notification bell. And every time Yahweh's Exiled Empire or Hebrews in Exile come out, they're listening, disseminating the information, and then giving it to their flock. We've seen evidence of this already. So don't get discouraged that there are not a lot of us. There's just other people doing the talking for us. And as long as we begin to be the what? The head and not the tail, okay, we all on one accord. So a special Shabbat Shalom to you, all you listeners out there in TV land. Shabbat Shalom to you. Evildoers, I can't leave you out. You out there too. We can't forget about you. What would be a Shabbat if we didn't acknowledge all of our enemies, because they are out there. Shabbat Shalom. And without any further ado, for our in-house audience, matter of fact, whoa, wait a minute. For those that are viewing Kenya, who is this? I think Sherry Kincaid. I'm looking at those people that are in the comment section on the side. We see you, we love you. Thank you for being faithful and showing up. We appreciate it. So, but without any further ado, for those that are in the studio audience today, Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Very good. I want to actually, my time ain't started yet, okay? That clock ain't started yet. I want to impart some things into you that, if I may, trouble you for a couple moments, that I have experienced this week. It's interesting to me that as both Ambassador Holman and Holman of the law offices of Holman and Holman, if you've ever had a problem where you're getting disenfranchised by Christianity, call the law offices of Holman and Holman. Wow, I need to work on my jokes. Anyway, we have gotten to, I've totally lost my point. Trying to be funny. Woo, I'm playing way too much. I've been astonished how all of us have been on one accord about the atrocities that have been happening to our people and this gross negligence of turning away from truth. We had a podcast this last week, or this week, that were completed, and we talked about a lot of different things. And one of the things that came up was Devarim chapter number 28. And the Most High kept drawing me back to that. Our people are suffering all these atrocities, and we have been forewarned what not to do in order not to get into this particular situation. And Devarim chapter 28 is one of those chapters that's instantiated today. It's such a beautiful prophecy because it translates and transcends time. It is currently in effect today. There is no corner of the earth where Devarim 28 is not in effect. We think that when we think of Devarim 28, it's germane to the transatlantic slave trade. It's not germane to the transatlantic slave trade. It's not germane to the Arabian slave trade. It's not germane to any slave trade at all. It's germane to the people that have been dispersed throughout the four corners of the world. So you need to look at that as a world prophecy, not just a prophecy that's systemic to the United States or the Western Hemisphere or the Western side of the world. understand that there's things that are in there that just because they're not happening here in the United States, they are happening somewhere else. When it talks about cannibalism, that's happening in Liberia. When you talk about places like the Australia, where the Aborigine is there, you talk about the atrocities that they're there. They're living below the poverty line. There's a line that's a poverty, and then there's a line below it, and then there's a line below it, and that's where they are. No running water. Living in shanties and shacks. Read that piece of information, that data, and pick out what, okay, that applies, okay, United States. Oh, that's Liberia. So you see what I'm saying? It's happening right now, and there's no corner on the face of the earth that you can go and hide where that curse doesn't follow you. Show me one place. I don't care if you're in a area of prominence. I don't care if you've risen to be the president of the United States. As a melanated person, there's a glass ceiling for you. All I'm simply saying with that, prophecy is in effect today, and you need to be aware of it because it is affecting you, all right? But we know how to handle ourselves. The Most High has given us instruction upon which we can cling to. The Most High is having my thoughts. I'm stammering because I'm downloading something. The Most High is having me go to some place right now. I need to say something to you all, okay? I need to edify you in a way that you may not have looked at this before. Thank you, Most High. When I think about witnessing, and I say like I'm presenting this information to someone that doesn't know that, just like what I just said a second ago about Devarim 28, okay? And you present this information, and what do they tell you in return? Oh, are you a Jew? Is that something that you've encountered? All right. That is something that you have experiential knowledge of. Oh, you must be a Jew. Do you understand the hypocritical nuance of that statement? No, I'm not a Jew. I'm a Hebrew. I'm a part of those 12 tribes that's talked about in that book over there. The question should be, you're an Ibir, a Hebrew, and you want to be Christian? Flip the narrative. It is not you that's proving yourself to them. It's them that needs to prove themselves to you. You should be asking the question. So you want to be a Christian? Don't you know that you're a Hebrew? They asking the question like you're a Christian and you want to be a Jew? You're already in a position to lose because of the way and the tone, the way the question is being posed. Don't have that attitude. You're an Ibir. You represent the Most High. You should know who you are. And apparently you don't, because you identify yourself with somebody who, through the course of history, has not made one advancement in your people at all. Can somebody please tell me one or even two things that this JC character has done for our people that has advanced us in this world? He would be a horrible politician. You can't continue to keep running for office and do nothing for the people, but you keep electing him as the head of state. See, what this is in a podcast that's going to be released. This is graffiti. Graffiti. What is graffiti? Graffiti is art that you fear. It's art that you fear. Listen, when you see graffiti on the side of a building, you can appreciate the artwork that's there, but you hate where it is. Why did you have to put it right there? That's what we are. We are truth that the world fears. Oh, I understand it. I can disseminate the truth that's coming out your mouth, but just don't say that here. I don't want to hear that here. Okay, you may have a point, but it's truth that you fear. Okay? And the Most High has put us in a position to where we can capitalize on that. All right. I think I'm now for the sermon of the day. Come on now, Bessie, get out. Okay. Hebrew study. We are going to do a short recap of 1 Samuel chapter 17. And then I want to take a short little sidebar and do a kind of a comparison. Something's been on my mind about ever since I started reading Melech David and his exploits with this individual called Goliath and how he defeated him. It reminded me of the Native Americans. And as I continue to do my research on Native Americans, I think I have put together a good amount of evidence with the aid of an individual, which I'm going to show you here in a second, that has compiled a list of data that shows a comparison that the Hebrews are Native Americans as well, or the Native Americans are Hebrews. Okay? So we're going to go through that just in a second. But before I get started with that, I always have the question of the day. So if you were looking for that, we're going to have the question of the day when I actually get in the recap. It's going to be a part of that whole entire dissertation. By way of hands, how many people in here have Native American heritage? Oh my goodness. This is like the whole entire room. Native American heritage. Tell me, tribes. Cherokee. Blackfoot. Who else? Seminole? Seminoles, okay. What? I'm talking about tribes that you guys are related to. Not, okay, so these are all tribes that you guys are from. Cherokee, Seminole, Blackfoot, Kuiai in the house, Chickasaw. All right. So, we are going to do this analysis and show you how your ancestors did a lot of Hebrew things that makes them really suspect. It's an amalgam that we're going to put together, a case that says the Native Americans are Hebrews. Okay? All right. Let's get right into 17. I want to do a really short recap of what we did in 17 and then do the question of the week while we're in here. 17, again, starts out, and I'm going 100,000 feet. 17 starts out with two armies waging war against each other, the Philistine and our ancestors. They are waged on two different hills, and there is a valley and a river that runs in between both of the camps. We have a 9'9" tall Goliath, who is the champion, which he's not the king. He is a high commander who is able to make these, radical claims that, hey, listen, if I am defeated by the Israeli army, if you will, then we'll be your slaves. And if we defeat you, you'll be our slaves, okay? So, we get through that. Goliath yells his terms. David goes down, but at the behest of his father, to the front lines to give actually some rations to his brothers. They kind of ridicule him a little bit when he gets down there. But in verse 12 of chapter number 17, there is a sentence, and this is going to be the question of the day because I went through this very, very quickly, and we're going to slow down, and we're going to pick this apart. Okay? It says in 12 of chapter number 17, now David was the son of that Ephrati from Bethlehem in Yehuda named Yeshai. And we broke that down. We broke that down and we said Bethlehem, which is the where, in Yehuda. That's like saying Sacramento in California. All right? So we've got the Bethlehem in Yehuda. And then we have named Yeshai squared away. Because we know that Yeshai is Melech, David's father, his Av. Okay? We have to deal with this issue of, it says, now that David was the son of that Ephrati. Now, we got to understand who this person or who she is. And that is found in Chronicles, 1 Chronicles. Let me jump out of here. 1 Chronicles chapter 2. Now, when I did this dissertation last time, I had some text up here that immaculately has gone away for some odd reason. Let's go back to 1 Chronicles chapter 2, verse 1. This says the genealogy of David. Now, there is this particular verse in here, and it is found in verse number 24. In the complete Jewish Bible, this reads different. It actually reads where there's another woman that's inserted here instead of Ephrath. And this is who we're talking about. So part of the question is depending on the translation that you read, verse 24 is going to read different. This translation comes out of the English Standard Version, which it gives you the explanation of what this is. There is no one translation of this Masoretic text that is 100% correct. I think we can all agree on that. They all have their nuances and even agendas, okay? So that's part of decoding this whole entire thing. But let's find out who this Ephrath or this Ephrati person is, all right? We have to go all the way back up to verse number 9 with this individual named Hetzor. Hetzor, if you read down all the way to, let's say, where is he at? Right here. 13. Jesse is in the lineage of Hetzor. Jesse, or Yeshai, if you will, that's his name. It goes through his firstborns, and then we get to, it says, David the seventh. So David is of the lineage of Hetzor. Okay? We clear? All right. Now, that's why we're going to tie these back together. We jump down. It says Caleb. This is verse 18. Caleb, the son of Hetzor, fathered children by his wife Azubah. So who is Caleb? Caleb is the son of Hetzor, right? We simply jump down to verse 24. And it says, after the death of Hetzor, Caleb went in to Ephrath, the wife of Hetzor, his father, and she bore him Ashur, the father of Tekoa. So what this is it's saying that after his father died, he went ahead and had intercourse with his mother. Okay? That's where we get that from. So it's a derogatory term when it says, when we go back to 17, verse 12, when it says, now David was the son of that Ephrati from Bethlehem in Yehuda named Yeshai. He had 8 sons. At the time, Shaul was old, and the years had taken their toll. It's not meant to be something that's very uplifting. It's a look at your lineage. Look at who you've come from. Okay? So hopefully that provides a little bit more clarity on that particular issue. As we continue to move forward through the month, we'll continue to have these questions of the week. I implore you and encourage you that if you do have a question, please let me know. All right, so we get down here, and David goes and sees his brothers. His brothers kind of ridicule him. We have this issue in verse number 26. The men were standing around with him, and they went over the reward for killing this individual called Goliath. We jump down to 29. He says, hey, you know, all I'm down here to do is just give my brothers some food, and you guys over here ridiculing me. What have I done? We jump down to 33. And as we get through this is where I want to start to pick up a little bit again. Shaul said to David, you can't go fight this Philistine. You're just a boy. And he has been a warrior from his youth. Shaul is telling David, his armor bearer, I want to drive an issue home before I move forward with the rest of this chapter. Does Shaul know who David is? That's a yes or no question. Does Shaul know who David is? Prove it. How do you know that? He met him before. He's his armor bearer. He's the guy that comes in the room and plays the lyre to calm him down. He knows who he is. Okay. I told you, you Hebrews are strategic. I'm bringing that up to set you up later on, in case you're raising eyebrows. Like, why are you interjecting that in here? I'm driving a point home. Shaul knows who David is. Okay. Now, they go out there. In 37, he tramps down there. He meets Goliath. I like 37. It says, then David said, Eye Asher Ele, who has rescued me from the paw of the lion and the paw of the bear, will rescue me from the paw of the Philistine. And Shaul said to David, go. May Yahweh, may Eye Asher Eye be with you. So we get down to this issue where David goes out there and he defeats Goliath with one stone. He takes 5. Can anybody remember why he takes 5? For his sons. Very good. He had 4 sons. Goliath had 4 sons, all from God. And he was going and intending to kill all 4 of them in case anybody got froggy and wanted to jump. I'm pretty sure when they saw their dad get cracked in the head, it was like, that's on you, Pops. So, David defeats this Philistine, and we're going to start reading again in verse number 50. It says, thus, David defeated the Philistine with a sling and a stone, striking the Philistine and killing him. And David had no sword in his hand. Then David ran and stood over the Philistine, took his sword, drew it out, its sheath, and finished killing him, cutting off his head. Now, when the Philistine saw that their hero was dead and fled, the men of Israel and Yehudah got up shouting and pursued the Philistine all the way to Gath and the gates of Ekron. The wounded Philistine fell down all along the road from Sharamim and got to Ekron. After chasing the Philistine, the army of Israel returned and plundered the camp. David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem and put the armor of the Philistine in his tent. Who does this sound like? Sounds like my girl. It sounds like Yehudit. It sounds like that courageous woman that saved an entire nation of people. Ladies, no. See, y'all got this thing. See, Hebrew women know who they are, okay? You know what kind of weapon you wield, okay? You got that Nazir thing down to a pat. You got all these things going for you. Man, alive. Sounds like Yehudit. She did the same thing to whom? Holofernes cut off his head, dragged it down there, and said, here, These are some of the unsung heroes in our culture. We will never find out about it because of the suppression of Christianity. Christianity has a suppressive, oppressive, systematic way of working. And you don't think that just, okay, all right, let's move on. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and say it. Verse 54. David took the head of the Philistine and brought it to Jerusalem, but he put the armor of the Philistine in his tent. 55. When Shaul saw David go out and fight the Philistine, he said to Abner, the army's commander, you know that Abner is, I believe, David's cousin or his uncle, one of the two. He's related. No. Shaul, excuse me. Thank you, Most High. Shaul is related to Abner by either he's a cousin of his. If you go back and take a look at it. Thank you, Most High. Abner, whose son, hey, wait a minute. Wake up. You see it? All right, let's get it. 55, let's do it. Slow. When Shaul, who? Okay, saw who? David. Go out and fight the Philistine. He said to Abner, the army's commander, Abner, whose son is this boy? Let's go to 1 Samuel. Let's go to 1 Samuel chapter 15, verses 14 through 23. He's asking his commander of his army, whose son is this? 14, it reads, now the spirit of Asher had left Shaul. Instead, an evil spirit of Yahweh would suddenly come over him. Shaul's servant said to him, do you notice that there's an evil spirit from El that has suddenly come over you? Let our Lord now command your servants who are here with you to look for a man who knows how to play the lyre. Then, if evil spirits from El come over you, he will play and it will do you good. Shaul said to his servants, find me a man who can play well and bring him to me. One of the young men answered, here, I have seen one of the sons of Yeshai. Where? In Bethlehem, which is where? In Yehuda, who knows how to play. He's a what? Brave soldier. He can fight. He chooses his words carefully, and he is pleasant looking. Besides, Asher is with him. So Shaul sent messengers to who? Yeshai. We just read a second ago in 55, it said, he asked Abner, whose son is this boy? Does this man not know who the people are around him? We've just established in 15 that he said, go out to see Yeshai because I want to see this boy. He knows who Yeshai is. But here he's asking his commander, who is this boy's father? Whose son is this boy? I was trying to establish a case here. Let's continue to keep going forward. It says, by going forward, it says, excuse me, where are we at? Good question. Do I want to finish that? Okay, yeah, I do want to finish that. Let's stay over in 1 Samuel chapter 15, 14 through 23. Let's continue on. I'm going to start at 19. All right? So it says, so Shaul sent messengers to Yeshai saying, send me David, your son, who is out with the sheep. Yeshai took a donkey, loaded it with bread and a bottle of wine and a kid, and sent them with David, his son, to Shaul. David came to Shaul and presented himself to him. Shaul took a great liking to him and made him his armor bearer. Shaul sent a message to who? Yeshai. All right? Remember that. Let's go back. to chapter number 17 in 1 Samuel. So, doesn't it seem odd to you when he says, Avner, whose son is this boy? You've sent correspondence to his father. You've summoned this person by name. How do you not know who he is? 56. It says, oh, by your life, O king, Avner replied, I don't know. The king said, find out whose son this boy is. As David returned from killing the Philistine, Avner took him and brought him to Shaul with the head of the Philistine in his hand. Excuse me, why are you presenting him to, oh my goodness, like you don't know who he is. He's your armor bearer, for goodness sakes, okay? Shaul asked him, young man, whose son are you? I have no idea. This guy has no cognitive ability to retain anything. Now you wonder why he doesn't remember any of the mitzvot. He doesn't even know who the people are in his own court. He doesn't even know who his armor bearer is. He doesn't even know the guy who comes in to play music. I mean, my goodness. He said, dude, he got dementia. He got that and a little more. Shaul asked him, young man, whose son are you? David answered, I am the son of your servant Yeshai in Bethlehem. All right. I'm going to take a quick pause and transition into my study of this amalgam of data that speaks about the Native American. And again, the reason why I got interested in this idea was I said the Philistine had taken all the ability of our ancestors to go and sharpen their weapons. They couldn't do it. They would have charged them at some exorbitant price. So they had to learn how to use slings and other types of weapons to defend themselves. And so David is very good with the sling. And as long as I can remember from seeing images of our Native American brothers, our Ibir, maybe I should just start using it now, that they use the same kind of weaponry, okay? So as I was interested in this, I said, man, this is some interesting information. Let's see if we can glean some things, and hopefully you get something out of this study. Let's jump back over here. I will share with you my personal story of my Native American heritage. I don't even know if my wife knows this. She's going to be like, we've been together for 20 plus 50 years and you ain't said nothing about this yet? My great-great-great-grandmother was a full-blown Cherokee Indian. My great-great-great-grandmother was raped by a European, and subsequently, after giving birth to the child, which if you look in our family tree on my side of the family, you will see a lot of individuals that look like Native Americans. After she bore the child, she went missing forever. No one saw her ever again. When she gave birth to the child, she had been violated by this individual. Our ancestors, it seems, across the world are suffering the same atrocities no matter where they are and in what dispensation of time it is. I do this to draw pride amongst our people, that we need to think beyond the expanse of what we've been told that individuals are. So, for your hearing, I want to go through this study. There is a book written by James Adair. It is called The History of, it should have said, no, The History of the American Indians. And there it is right there. A lot of the bullet points that I'm going to state come directly from this publication. So if you would like to know more or have a better understanding of the material that's being presented today, there's a book on Amazon. Go check that out. It is a fabulous read. James Adair was amongst several tribes. He is a European. In 1775, this book was first published. It is information that has been gathered from 1740 to 1760. Now, again, in 1775, remember that date, 1775, this book was published. James Adair had close contact with several Indian tribes or Native American tribes. So the tribes that are being talked about that are germane to this publication are the Cherokee, upon which my ancestors are from, the Chickasaw, the Creek, and the Choctaw. Those are the Indian tribes that are germane mainly to Mr. Adair's investigations. Now, I said that it was released. I don't know if this is even going to be, this is actually taking a sidebar right here, and this is me getting out on my own on this one. I said something about 1775. Who knows about what happened in 1776? Y'all in school? Oh, yeah. What happened in 1776? They haven't taught y'all what happened in 1776? What happened in the United States in 1776? Oh my goodness, the Revolutionary War. That's when you guys celebrate July 4th. Okay? I want to set the record straight on just a sidebar on this particular issue, okay? In 1776, where were your people in 1776? You were still working plantations. You were still slaves, okay? You didn't get your emancipation until 90 years later in 1863. There are a group of individuals that are out here, and I know that we're gung-ho about Juneteenth, about when the last of the slaves found out that they were free. Okay, that's not true, all right? Let's set the record straight on what actually happened. In Galveston, Texas, was one of the first states in the process of ratifying the 13th Amendment to allow slaves to be free. The last slaves didn't get emancipated until 6 months after that, in December 6th, 1865. December 6th, 1865, the 13th Amendment was ratified in the great state of Georgia. That's the correct date. Now, it's quite ironic that you live in a country who knows that information and will still instantiate into law Juneteenth as a federal holiday. It is the wrong date. That was instantiated on June 17th, 2021, under the leadership of Joe Biden. Okay? We need to know the truth about all the matters that are being presented in front of us, okay? And again, I only brought that up because it's so close to 1776 that knowing that this book was released right before independence. All right, let's get into it. Some of the arguments. There are 23 arguments that Mr. Adair makes in his book, citing that Hebrews are Native Americans. The first one, and we'll see how far we get. The first one is their divisions into tribes. Seems kind of obvious, right? Says, and I'm reading directly from the book, as the Israelites were divided into tribes and had chiefs over them, the Indians divide themselves. Each tribe forms a little community within the nation, and as the nation hath its particular symbol, so hath the tribe the badge from which it is denominated. The Sechem, which is a chief of the tribe, it is a necessary party in conveyances of these treaties to affix which mark of the tribe, and as corporation with us do this public seal. So basically what they're saying, they have this, they're broken into tribes, and they have seals. This is the tribe of the wolf. This is the tribe of the bear. This is the tribe of the wind. And he goes on to actually quote, I want to bring out a particular text where tribes also have chiefs and leaders of them, just like ours do. I'll give you an example. In Shemot, chapter number 3, verse 16, it says, go, gather the leaders or chiefs of Israel together and say to them, Eye Asher Eye, the El of your fathers, and El of Abraham, Yitzhak, and Yaakov has appeared to me and said, I have been paying close attention to you and have seen what is being done to you in Egypt. Even in Egypt, obviously, we had tribes and tribal leaders over those particular tribes. So he's making a distinction here by saying they're broken into tribes as well. He even points out that in Ezekiel chapter number 26 and 1, it talks about the prophecy against the Phoenicians because of all of the atrocities they've done against our people. And our people adopted this way of worshiping the wind from them, these different symbols, and attaching it to their particular tribe. But his point here is that they're broken into tribes and have chieftain, just like Hebrew Israel does. Point number 2, they worship Yehovah. By a strict, permanent divine precept, the Hebrew nation were ordered to worship at Yerushalayim. Yehovah, the true and living, he uses God in here, but the true and living El, and who is by the Indians is stilled YAHWEH, which the 72 interpreters, either from ignorance or superstition, have translated into Adonai. And did you hear what this man just said? In 1775, he published a book that acknowledged the fact here by living with Native Americans that their El is Yehovah. And because of how they translated it, they systematically put in words like Adonai to override it, to hide it. He notices it them, and he gets it from this particular tribe, these tribes that he's with. Same thing that you've been what? Being taught now. Okay? It says, they have translated the name Yehovah into Adonai, and is the very same as the Greek kurios, signifying sir, lord, or master, which is commonly applied to earthly potentates, without the least significance of or relation to the most grateful and awful name that describes the divine essence, who naturally and necessarily exists of himself without beginning or end. Third point. Wait, because this shows up. I got to say this one right here. It's in this particular section, but I put it in here because it talks about how they look at the sun. It says the American Indians, and I put this in, you can see this right in the book. If you go to the book of Jubilees, I believe if it's not there, it's in the book of Enoch. He says here in this book, he says, see, you know it's getting good to me because I'm leaning into it, like I'm getting ready to take off running. It says the American Indians do not believe the sun to be any bigger than it appears to the naked eye. It says that the sun and the moon are the same, and that this issue of distance and rotation does not exist. Point number 3, the notions of a theocracy. Agreeably to the theocracy or divine government of Israel, the Indians think the deity to be the immediate head of their state. All the nations of Indians are exceedingly intoxicated with religious pride and have an inexpressible contempt. Now, I'm reading what's in this book. If I had something to say, I'm just telling you, we don't hold back truth in here. I'm just reading exactly what this man is writing. Okay, this is a European writing this, okay? And I shouldn't even have to do a disclaimer on it, all right? But I'm reading verbatim. It says, all the nation of the Indians are exceedingly intoxicated with religious pride and have an inexpressible contempt of white people, unless except those half-savage Europeans who have become their proselytes. Nothing is more favorable than they give us. In their set speeches, even Indians who are formerly bred in enmity, which is a good relationship with us, he's talking about good relationship with some Europeans, and enmity to the French, used to call us, their war orators, Hotuk Oktprus, the accursed people. So the Indians are looking at Europeans and saying, they're calling them the Hotuk Oktprus, the accursed people. But they flatter themselves with the name of Hotuk Oktupa, the beloved people. Is that not what the Most High calls you? Because their supposed ancestors, as they affirm, were under the immediate government of the deity, who was present with them in a very particular manner and directed them by prophets, while the rest of the world were aliens and outlaws to the covenant. These are Indians teaching this European this. This is all you're going to learn in school. Wah, 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 wah. That was 3. 4, their belief in the ministration of angels. We have abundant evidence that he uses the word Jews in his text, believing, which he really means Hebrews, in the manifestation of angels. During the Old Testament dispensation, their frequent appearances and their services on earth are recorded in the oracles, which the Jews/Hebrews themselves receive as given by divine inspiration. Women also are ordered in the Indian belief to have their heads covered in religious assemblies because of the presence of angels, and observe silence, the modest customs of the Eastern countries. Point number 5, their language and dialect. The Indian language and dialect appears to have very idioms and genius of Hebrew. Their words and sentences are expressive, concise, emphatical, sonorous, and bold, and often both in letter and in signification, synonymous with the Hebrew language. It is common that the old remark, there is no language in which some Hebrew words are not to be found. The Indian nouns have either cases nor declensions. They are invariably the same through both number and Hebrew manner. One of the things you know about the Hebrew alphabet is that the characters also represent numbers. So, same thing with the language of our Ibir, native Ibir. 6, the manner. We're going to maybe be here for the next century on this one. The manner of counting time. They count time after the manner of the Hebrews. They divide the year into spring, summer, autumn, and fall. We all know that the beginning of fall is when? Next week on Shabbat, which makes it a super Shabbat. All right? And in that dispensation of time of winter, spring, fall, and summer, we have how many weeks in each of them? 13. 13 weeks in each of them. Okay? Let's go on. By their years, by any of those 4 periods, for they have no name for a year, neither do we. And they have subdivided these, and they count the year by lunar months. Now that's a little off. Like the Israelites who counted the moons and, in the plural, the moon. Now, he's getting a little bit off here, so I disagree with this particular piece here. You don't count by the moon, but I'll give him that one. So the Indians have no distinct proper name for the sun and moon. The word, or at least one word, that with is the note of distinction, expresses both examples. And it goes on to give you the words that they use for the sun and the moon, and they're kind of really synonymous. So I'm not going to go over that and bore you with that. I'm going to go on to actually point number 7, which is their prophets and their high priests. In conformity to, or after the manner of the Jews, the Indian Americans have their prophets, high priests, and other of the religious order. The Jews had a sanctorium, or most holy place. So they have all the Indian nations as well, particularly the Muskogee Indians. It is partitioned off by a mud wall about breast high behind a white seat, which is always stands to the left with a red painted war seat. So what he's basically saying is they have a holy of holies as well. Point number 8, their festivals, feasts, and religious rites. Their festivals, feasts, fasts, and religious rites also have great resemblance to the Hebrews. It will be necessary here to take a short view of the principle of the Jewish feasts. So we know what's going on with Yom Teruah. We know about Yom Kippur, all right? And why we do Yom Kippur and Sukkot, all right? Now, Sukkot should be an easy one because they know how to live in booths, and so did our ancestors, correct? All right, so that's that there. Where do I want to start in this one? In like manner, let me start here. In like manner, the supposed red Hebrews of the Americas deserts annually observe the festival and Niktak Ya'ah, days of afflicting themselves before the deity. What festival of ours is that? That's a yearly festival that you afflict yourself for one day for the Most High. That is Yom Kippur. He's making note that they do the same thing too. May not call it that, but they're doing the same identical thing. Point number 9. The Hebrews offered daily sacrifices, which the prophet Daniel calls a tamid, the daily. You can find this in Bad Midbar, chapter number 28, verses 1 through 8. It was an offering of a lamb every morning and evening at the charges of the common treasury of the temple. And except the skin and entrails, it was burnt to ashes, upon which account they called it the Olah Kali, to ascend and consume. The Indians have a similar religious service. The Indian women always throw a small piece of the fattest of the meat into the fire when they are eating, and frequently before beginning to eat. Sometimes they view it as a pleasing attention and pretend to draw omens from it. They firmly believe such a method will be a great means of producing temporal good things and averting those evil. They do not offer any fruits of the field except for the first fruit offerings, so that they neglect their sacrifice at certain times seems not to be the effect of the ignorant or vicious, but their intelligent and virtuous disposition and strong circumstantial evidence of their Israeli extraction. The ablutions and anointings. There's a big long section, but what this man is trying to basically say here for these ablutions and anointings is that we have a series of cleansing and washing ourselves, right? There's certain things you have to do. If you violate, you're going to go mikvah. Indians have the same thing as well. Or Native Americans, I need to start coining that better. Ibir, Native Ibir. Why don't we say that? The Native Ibir had the same thing. Now, in Vayikra chapter number 8, verses 1 through 7, we'll give you some examples of the cleansing process and washing. I cite this here about Aharon and his sons, how they had to be washed and cleansed for ceremonies. As it gets down in here, I'm going to go and read this particular portion of it. It says, by Levitical law, the people who had running issues and sores were deemed unclean and strictly ordered apart from the rest. Is that true? All right. For fear of polluting them, for everything they touched became unclean. The Indians, in as strict a manner, observed the very same law. They followed the ancient Israeli copy so close as to build a small hut at the considerable distance of a house of a village for every one of their warriors wounded in war. Because what? They've touched a corpse. That means that they're unclean. You have to be separated. So they're doing these things in accordance that have been written in Torah law. All right. Now, 11. Their laws of uncleanliness. Now, we got all of our laws, well, majority of them are in Vayikra chapter 12. The Indians have customs consonant to the Mosaic law of uncleanliness. They oblige their women to the lunar retreats to build small huts at as considerable a distance from the dwelling as they imagine may be out of their enemy's reach, where during that space, that period, they are obliged to stay at the risk of their lives. What this man is trying to say here is this. These Indians or native Hebrews built huts for women as well to separate them. Why? Once a month, you have what? Your nidah. And anything, and in that period of time, it's unclean. So what they did was they separated the women for that. All right? Same as the Ibir. Same as our ancestors. Continuing to be consistent. 12. Their abundance, their abstinence from unclean things. Do you guys have an abstinence from unclean things? See, wait a minute. Later on today, I'm going to go to Rayleigh's in Bel Air. You know what I'm going to pick up? I'm going to pick up some pork chops because they're clean. Pork's not clean? All right. Wait, what? You said what? Wait a minute. Okay, now, see, the Most High asked me to maybe say something about this. I was debating on whether I was going to say it, and you just said something with that false prophet. I want to actually address those that are viewing by way of the stream, because everybody in here knows this, and they're going to help me answer these questions. False prophets. Let's deal with it for a second. Do we operate in the office of a prophet? What is prophecy? Prophecy is the Most High giving his instruction to his people or in a particular situation, and what happens? It comes to pass. So, for those of you that are out there struggling about false prophets, I'm going to show you Hebraically how you can evaluate whether or not you have a true prophet in your midst. The text says that you can tell a prophet is a true prophet by what? Whatever he says comes to pass. Let's test this out, okay? Let's test this out. All right, let's do something fun. I have the winning numbers to the lotto. And I'm going to give them to you. Free of charge. Thank you, Hebrews. Thank you. I said I have the winning lotto numbers. Maybe you guys didn't hear it from over here. And I'm going to give it to you for free. I'm prophesying what the lotto numbers are going to be later on today. Why are you laughing at me? So why is it in Christianity when them prophets get around y'all rolling around like picking a bale of cotton on the floor about somebody's going to find their husband next week? You don't know what the prophecy is going to be until it's fulfilled. Do you understand what I just got done saying? You're so quick. Somebody want to put a word on you about something. You've got nothing but false prophets in your midst. Look at how you reacted when I prophesied what those numbers were going to be. You looked at me like I was a stone cold fool. And I'm saying to myself, I don't know why our Ibir that are trapped in the matrix still don't understand that concept. Because if you're going to prophesy over somebody's relationship, prophesy over somebody's financial situation, prophesy over somebody's future, and it don't come to pass, then what does our Hebrew text say that we have to do to you? False prophets. I'm trying to tell y'all. Their abstinence, number 12, from unclean things, like the Jews. The greatest part of the southern Indians abstain from most things that are either themselves or in general apprehension of mankind loathsome or unclean. Their marriages, divorces, and punishments of adultery are the same. The Indian marriages, divorces, and punishments of adultery still retain strong likenesses to Jewish laws, customs in these points. The Hebrew, now they use a word here, it says sponsilia de presinti, which is an informal marriage, and also the sponsilia de future, which is a canon of engagement. So there is a promise and then the actual engagement itself. A considerable time generally intervened between the contract and marriage and their nuptial ceremonies, and celebrated at night. The Indians observe the same custom to this day, insomuch that it is usual for an elderly man, now this says take a young girl, which is probably just a younger woman, for sometimes to be his wife, because she is capable of receiving good impressions in her tender state. Frequently, the moon elapses after the contract is made. All he's trying to say is that our ancestors have this set of time between the nuptials and the actual marriage. The Indians practice the same thing too, all right? He kind of does this. The way he uses his grammar is kind of weird, but I'm going to navigate you through it. Now, this I thought was interesting about Native Americans, or our native Ibir. It says also, far as marriages are concerned, it says the grandeur of Hebrews consisted pretty much in the multiplicity of their wives, to attend to them as a showy routine, as the meaner sort could not well purchase one. They had a light sort of marriage suitable to their circumstances, called by the scholastics usi coprio, which is a title and property interpreted and disputed possession for prescribed time. So basically what he's saying is that these individuals would take on wives for a specific set of time. So it's saying taking a woman for the present use. When they had lived together for about a year, if agreeable, this is talking about the Indians, they had parted as good friends, but mutual consent. So they only want to take on wives for a certain amount of time, these extra wives. The Indians are also fond of a variety that they've ridiculed white people as a tribe of narrow-hearted and dull-constituted animals for having only one wife at a time, and being bound to live with her and support her through numberless circumstances might require a contrary conduct. So these ancestors of ours were very bold by saying, hey, listen, you Europeans coming over here and you only have one wife. We have laws that allow us to have multiple wives. Why would you want to just have just one? Based on the circumstances. And we'll get into that. I know this is kind of a lighthearted thing, what I'm saying right now, because I wish all of y'all could see right now all these people looking at me with this frown. They got this SpongeBob SquarePants frown on their face looking at me. You said something about multiple wives. Man, that seemed kind of misogynistic. Trust me, when we get into our issues of relationships and how we deal with multiple wives, Hebraically, we will deal with this particular issue because it's not for the sake of just having intercourse. Multiple wives for Hebrews is dealing with a community issue. You go off to war and die. The community has to take care of now this woman who has no way to support ourselves. Quiet as it's kept, it's not like it is in 2023. Women were very dependent on their husbands. So, we'll go to that and we'll go through it when we get to that particular point, but that'll be a ways from now. Ooh, that laser beam on my forehead right now. All right, let's go, keep going. 14. There's severe punishments. This is a good one. Let me just breeze through this because I'm not going to finish this in an expeditious manner, but I will go through this. There are some particular pieces of information I want to draw your mind to. In 2 Samuel chapter 4, verses 12, David is known for cutting off the hands and feet of his opponents. Okay? The Indians have a way of torturing you as well. You might have one that's common. What do you know? Scalp you. All right? Hebrews like to torture. And when you read our text, you'll find that a lot of times we will do that. And matter of fact, there is one particular Hebrew that went through some torture that you all are very fond of. Or not very fond of. I should say you are very fond of because you tattoo it on yourselves. You wear it around your necks. This Hebrew went through some torture too. All right? So one of the things that the Indians like to do is they like to stop the infusion of blood. You know what the infusion of blood is? It's for you to bleed out. So what they do is they help you stay alive so they can torture you more. A lot of people believe that that peace when Christ was on the cross, why am I doing that? Because when you're on the cross, the only way you can breathe is by pushing up. That's why they were so significant by saying, well, he was already dead. We didn't have to break his legs because he had to use his legs to push, to breathe. So, what did they put on that stick? They filled up a sponge full of vinegar and they wrapped it in some hyssop because he said, I thirst. They put it up to him and he drank. A lot of people think, okay, he drank that and his thirst was quenched. That's not what's happening. They gave him vinegar so they could keep him alive to torture him longer. Okay? You guys and our native Ibir do the same thing. They'll keep you alive to torture you. But I'll go over more of these the next time I get up here to talk about our native Ibir. I want to bless you. Hopefully you got something out of this today. Yivarekaka, Yahweh ve'yishmereka. Ya'er Yahweh panav eleka v'huneka yisa Yahweh panav eleka v'yasam laka shalom. Which simply means, may Yahweh bless you and keep you. May Yahweh make his face to shine on you and show you his favor. May Yahweh lift his face towards you and give you shalom. Amen.